Hi there. Oh, good to see you. This is Captain Frank here. I want to talk about a subject that's either a point of happiness or a point of disappointment on either direction. Let's talk toilets. There's several different toilets that are out there. This is one of the most common one. It's called a vacuum flush. A vacuum flush unit works like an airplane toilet. You've got a little ball assembly here. When you push the pedal, it opens it and allows what's in there to discharge down through the bottom. There's another type of toilet that I wanted to share with you that's become very popular out there. It's different than the vacuum flush. The main reason is, if you look down in the bowl here, you won't see the vacuum flush valve because there is none. It looks like a traditional toilet. The main difference is the macerator is actually built right into the toilet itself. Therefore, it doesn't have to build up the vacuum. It's effective in the way that it's very quiet. You won't ever hear the vacuum flush unit running in the middle of the night. Now, the neat thing about this one is there's some instructions on the back of the seat here. This unit also has a switch that's on the waste tank. When the waste tank gets full, it won't allow it to flush anymore. That's a good thing unless you've already gone to the bathroom. So what these instructions are here for is to tell you how you can emergency flush it for approximately 10 more times after the tank is full. Kind of important to know. This is the control panel that actually flushes the toilet. As I mentioned before, it's got a switch in there to let you know if it's going to flush or not. You'll notice right now it's green. That means it's going to work and it's good to go. If that turns red, it means it's full. And you're basically going to push and hold both of these two at the same time for 5 seconds. It's going to flush. It is somewhat unique because it'll flush once, add water, flush again, and adds water. So you get 2 flushes out of it. Pretty simple unit, works nice and easy. This boat has 2 heads, so there's 2 units. This is the piece that creates the vacuum underneath the toilet. You've got an electric motor, a large diaphragm that moves up and down, and a series of check valves on the inside. How this works is when you flush the toilet, a pressure switch drops and releases and starts turning on the motor. As it begins to rotate, it creates a vacuum, and it's pulling what's in the tank from the last flush and actually pumping it into the holding tank on the boat. At the same time, it's creating a new source of vacuum underneath the toilet. The units themselves are basically maintenance free. If they don't work for whatever reason, the unit doesn't generate a vacuum, one of the things you want to check is this vacuum switch underneath here. Sometimes they'll stick as well. All you have to do is take the 2 wires that go to the vacuum switch and hook them together to bypass the switch. If the unit runs, then you know you've got a problem with that. This unit that you see right here is the overboard discharge pump. What it does, better than the macerator, is it will never lock up. You can run this unit dry and not burn up the impeller because it doesn't have one. So in the case that the tank runs out and it continues to run, it won't damage the unit. It is important, obviously, to remember to open the seacock first before running the unit. If not, it'll build up a back pressure and could invert the valve in here, and then instead of pumping waste overboard, it'll actually pump seawater in. Okay, let's take a second here and talk about what you put in this toilet. Well, other than the obvious, we know what's going to go in there. We're not going to talk about that. But we need to prep the system before we actually use it. The reason being is the vacuum flush system uses a very small amount of water, so it gives a very high concentration of waste. The fact of not having some sort of deodorant in there, like this Sea Guard, is really important. If you don't have that, it's going to build up an odor that's going to be just overwhelming. This also breaks down the waste and it makes it emulsify so you can get it out of the tank easier as well. Now, for cleaning the toilet, there's a seal around that little ball cock that you saw. This is a cleaner that's designed to clean that, and it won't damage that seal. So really you should use this. Never use abrasives. If you haven't eaten it first, you really shouldn't put it in there. Your body should process it. That's kind of the general rule of thumb. Let's talk about the toilet paper for just a minute here. The toilet paper you use should be a marine grade toilet paper or from an RV. The difference is this material breaks down when it gets wet a lot quicker, so it makes it easier to get out of the tank. It doesn't matter if you're pumping out at your local marina or if you're using your overboard discharge. It keeps from plugging up the main tube. You know, the good news is this stuff for years was only a single ply, wasn't real good. The ladies weren't very happy. Now they've got it in a 2-ply that works equally as well. You know, one of the things that can cause a challenge with your toilet is feminine products. Unfortunately, if you don't give a lady some place to put their feminine products, it's going to end up in the toilet bowl. What I would suggest is to get some bags from the grocery store, the plastic bags that you use, store them in the head, show them that they're there. You don't really need to explain, they understand, but it gives them some place to put it and show them where the trash receptacle. These things will plug up a toilet pretty quickly and they're very difficult to get out. So to bring this head session to a close, let's talk about the things to remember most. Number one is the vacuum flush and the electric flush, you need to have the fresh water on because that's what supplies water to them. Number two is you need to treat the tank with a deodorant. The concentration of waste is high, so that's important. And number three is use the right toilet paper. By doing that, it'll break down, it's easy to get out of the tank, and you should have virtually no problems with your head system. This is Captain Frank. See you out on the water.